So you want to know how to sell Transmog? Well, you've come to the right place. In this video, I will tell you the ins and outs for beginners on how to sell Transmog in WoW. Now just stick around and enjoy the video. In this first part, we're going to talk about how to sell greens in WoW. Greens are the backbone, as I like to put it, of selling Transmog. A hell of a lot of them, just for a few minutes of farming. Now, the key to getting a lot of gold with the greens, you're going to have to farm up a lot of them, because you need a variety of actual greens in order for them to sell, because you can't just farm up like just a little bit and hope that they all sell, because that's not the way it goes. You're more or less going to sell like about, depending on how many you actually farm up, you're going to sell around about 10, 20 or 50 or even none a day, depending on how many you farm up. I always keep a good chunk of about 1,000 greens on the auction house, and they range from anywhere from about 20 gold a piece to all the way to like 200 to 300, and it's even some of the high price ticket items of the greens which sell for like 20k, or if you are lucky and you get the glorious, you can sell for 100k, but that's a big ticket item, so we'll leave that for when we get to the blues. If you want to start selling greens, my best recommendation is, if you're Alliance, run Stockades 10 times for like 3 hours. You'll get a good chunk of greens or dead mines. If you are Horde, then I would highly recommend that you do Ragefire Chasm or the Wailing Caverns. You get a lot of greens from these instances, and if you put up loads and loads and loads of them, they will sell, but they just take a little bit more time. This is why you need to have like thousands of greens that you're selling at one point, so only a few can sell, but you're selling a few a day, and it's nice little trickle in of gold every day. Blues. Blues are those big ticket item BOE blues that you get from the dungeons or the raids, and you want to sell them on. This does go for the epic ones as well, even though this is classified as blue. Now, you are specifically farming for these items to drop, so they're on an RNG basis. Now, these ones are, obviously because they're RNG, they take a while to farm up, but they sell for a huge chunk of gold. Some of them range from anywhere from like 1,000 gold all the way up to like 50,000 gold. It just depends on where you farm. Now, my favourite place to farm for BOE blues is either Dead Mines, Wailing Caverns, or Alderman. Now, for me, they seem to drop a lot for me, and I think they are the perfect places for you to just start farming for the blues, because as well as you get loads of blues, you also get a lot of greens, which I covered in the last part of this. But back onto the subject of the blues. Blues are hard to sell. You don't expect to sell them in a day. This is Transmog. This is the bottom line. Transmog doesn't sell fast. But with farming the blues, obviously they take a while to sell, but they can pay off really high. So like, take the Battered Hilt for instance. You could do the Battered Hilt farm for like 3 hours. That's 30 runs in 3 hours. You could get one Battered Hilt. You could just say we got a Battered Hilt. Now say for instance this takes a week for you to sell. You've still got that gold, but you're off farming something else. So you're constantly making gold while you're farming. Blues are always a tricky one for you, but as a beginner I would definitely say stay away from the blues and just focus solely on the greens, as they are much easier for you to get into selling Transmog and getting used to your market and how it works. But if a blue does drop, obviously list it. Now we're into add-ons, and what I would like to say is TSM is probably the bog standard for selling Transmog, because you can have add-ons like Loot Appraiser. They could tell you how much gold you've made in looted item value. Now, as a beginner for Transmog farming and Transmog selling, I wouldn't recommend actually getting into this. I would use something along the lines of Auctioneer. I still use Auctioneer to this day. I find it a lot easier to just scan the auction house and just post my crap. So the ones for posting and listing your items that I would recommend is, for beginners, is Auctioneer, it's very simple to use and you can just use it. And it's easy to understand. TSM for when you've got a bit more of a grip on how to sell your transmog. Auctionator. Auctionator is usually one I use for like battle pets, but you can use this one for the big ticket items like the blues and the high value ones, so you can always keep checking to see if you've been undercut by them. Now, extra add-ons are Atlas loot. I highly recommend you get Atlas loot because it tells you what drops in each dungeon, and so you can look and see what drops and what can sell for a lot before you even go and do that dungeon. So you can prioritize, see what dungeons do sell for the most, see what dungeons do for the less, and see which one is worth your actual time. And then last and finally, the add-on that I highly recommend is the Undermine Journal add-on. Now, the Undermine Journal add-on it's just a lifesaver. I don't really need to explain it anymore. Literally just download it and just see. You'll notice the difference. It just tells you the mean price. It tells you what it's going for on your realm, and you can pick between each of these. This one goes well with Auctionator. Now for posting stuff. Now for greens, I usually post with Auctioneer. I usually go with posting like all of these all at once. I literally just spam the button. I scan the auction house for a few days, and when it's time for me to post and relist, I undercut by 1 copper and I set it for 12 hours. Because obviously you're going to be checking your auction house consistently to see if you've been undercut, because this is transmog selling. This isn't like you're selling just cloth and stuff that just sells really fast, or herbs or anything like that. You need to be checking all the time, every time that you've got a chance. I usually check about 3 or 4 times a day, just see if I've been undercut. Now you would want to just set it for 12 hours because obviously it's going to cost you for how long you put it up. So don't put it up there for like 48 hours and all that stuff. Obviously you can see in the video right now I'm posting for 48 hours, but I'm selling greens, and I will get into this. Now, you list your items, you see if you've been undercut, then you remove any that have been undercut and relist them. It's pretty straightforward. But for greens, I have 2 alts, 2 bankers, and one sells the high ticket items, one sells the trash. Basically anything else that I can sell, I sell on him. And that's DalaGG. And that's the one I've got right now. He's my monk. I sell all of my greens on here, any cloth I find or anything left over from the dungeons that I do. I just sell it on him. And at the end of the week, I get all the money that he's collected and I just send it over to Deteros, which is my main banker, who sells all the big ticket items. Now the reason for having the big ticket items on one character is I can keep a more visual eye on the big ticket items, because obviously they make the most money. So obviously I want to make them all the time be the first one that they notice and the first one that they buy. So I'm always undercutting by 1 copper just to make sure that those ones are the first ones there. With the greens, I'm not too concerned because I sell a lot of greens all the time. That's because I keep a minimum of like 1,000 greens on the auction house at a time, because I know I'm always going to make gold. When I wake up in the morning, I make gold. Now with the big ticket items, if I've been undercut, I'm not going to make any money. So obviously I'm going to have to quickly have a look, take off, repost as fast as possible. Transmog selling is, as a beginner, you wanting to just farm up a little bit and just give it a go and keep at it for like a week and see how much gold you can actually make. Because with Transmog alone, just the greens, I make around about 100k a week just by selling greens, and they sell from 20 to 200 gold. I'm quite biased in the fact of greens are the way to go as a beginner for selling Transmog. The higher ticket items ones, if they drop for you, yeah, sell them, why not? But keep a closer eye on them because they can sell for a lot of gold, and you want them to sell the fastest. You want them to sell the most. Now I hope you like this video and what I've had to say about beginners of selling Transmog. If you've got any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section down below. I'll be happy to answer all of them. And if you like this video and you want to see more like this, please feel free to give this video a like. And as always, have a good day, guys.